Welcome into Jags A.M. this morning. I'm Kainani Stevens. Brian Sexton and John Oehser are with me as the Jaguars get ready for Week 5. They're going to face off against the Colts here in Jacksonville. Let's start out with our big things today. Big thing number one is next question. A lot of national media reporting that there's issues within the locker room here in Jacksonville, that some of the players have lost their faith in head coach Doug Peterson. Of course, Doug Peterson weighing in, saying he didn't feel that was the case. But, of course, that's what you expect your coach to say. Of course, hearing from your leader of the team, Trevor Lawrence, is very definitive.
I mean, I shouldn't even have to. You got to do your job, so you got to ask it, but I shouldn't even have to answer it. I mean, not at all. I don't know where that's coming from, so I don't even want to really expand on something that's just not true. So,
Brian, Trevor Lawrence pretty much said next question when they asked him about Doug losing the locker room. You've been around a lot of different teams here. Trevor didn't even take much heed to it at all.
No, he didn't, which was a great leadership indicator. Look, in today's social media world, anyone, anywhere can say anything, and there's no accountability. It just is, and the business isn't the same as the one that I grew up in. But you're going to get it. The players know it. The coaches know it. It's why neither of those gentlemen overreacted to the question. I went into the locker room yesterday, and I heard other reporters now asking the question, so something that really wasn't a story became a story. I didn't hear any frustration. I didn't hear any disgust. I've been around long enough that I know what I'm listening to, and I can look into players' eyes. This locker room is 100% still. I probably shouldn't say 100. There's probably a player or two that is disgusted with their role or what hasn't gone their way. It's never perfect, but it is strongly behind Doug. There is no indication of this whatsoever.
Yeah, when you're 0-4 and you're not in your first year as a head coach, there's going to be stories about this sort of thing. There's going to be people calling and texting people in the locker room trying to get at this sort of thing. There's probably 1 in 3 teams in the NFL where there are worse situations, but nobody's calling those because they don't have the worst record in the NFL. So I think a lot of that is circumstantial. Look, at 0-4, eventually losing the locker room, there is a place, somewhere, where that's a concern. But I'm with Brian. It's always a concern when you're losing. But I'm with Brian. Talking to Christian Kirk, talking to people yesterday, I don't think this is the storyline of this organization right now.
Well, and you know, John, because you were here in '96, Tom Coughlin was on the verge. If he hadn't lost the locker room at 4-7, it was really bad. However, he got it back because they started winning. So even if Doug had some guys who were disgruntled, go win on Sunday. Go put a couple of wins together in London, and the locker room is all back. Human nature says when it gets tough, I'm not as happy. Okay, that is common. There are some players in there who probably aren't happy, but it has nothing to do, again, I assume it has nothing to do with Doug losing the locker room.
I haven't been happy in about 20 years. So
John, we're doing our best, okay? We're trying. I'm happy.
I get it.
Winning will fix a lot of things. It is important to remember we still got 3/4 of the season to go. Our next big thing today going to be old school. A lot of talk about Tom Coughlin this week as he will be honored on Sunday. Doug Peterson was asked a little bit about how Tom Coughlin's coaching style was back in the day and what Doug Peterson's thoughts were about that today.
I don't think they necessarily, not all of them, I don't think they all respond to that, you know. I think just coming to him as a man and just having a conversation, you know, and sometimes too, you know, maybe not calling a guy out in a meeting, you know, in front of their teammates, in front of their peers, you know, just go to them one-on-one and have those conversations. And I think that's more and more what's happening, you know, with, I think, teams overall, you know, but there's still part of me that wants to old school it every now and then, you know, and sometimes it comes out, you know, but I just don't think everybody responds the same way.
John, you like to take it old school from time to time. Doug Peterson said he was kind of raised in that mentality. Obviously, it's not quite the same this way. What have you seen the progression, how we've gotten to this point in the NFL?
Well, I think you still have to have the same basic tenets as a head coach. You have to lead, you have to have players believing in you. And I do believe that players, like anybody, they still want discipline. They want to know that the direction is in the right way, and they don't mind tough love, so to speak. I think you just sort of, I think it's a degree thing. I think if Tom were coaching today, if he had come up in this environment, I think he would still be tough, Brian. I think he would still have the same tenets, but I think he would have probably come up and maybe learned to hug a little bit every now and then. It's hard for you to imagine. Maybe he's hugged you, not me. But I still think the old school follow my direction, I still think it's necessary in the NFL because you're dealing with 70, 80 personalities. But I think maybe coaches enunciate it a touch softer than maybe Tom did.
I'm trying to think. Are there any Tom?
About the hug?
No, I don't. No, firm handshake, but I've never hugged him. I'm trying to think if there's a coach in the league today that fits that old school Tom Coughlin, Bill Belichick. He was the most recent, style, and there just aren't any, which tells you that players don't communicate the same way. At least owners don't believe that they do. And when Tom was coaching in New York, he famously and his coaching staff studied millennials so that they could communicate with them more on their plane to figure out the best way to coach them. So he even understood that. I always loved dealing with Tom because I knew exactly what I was going to get. I knew win, I knew loss, I knew exactly what he thought. I don't want to say I could answer questions for him, but I kind of knew where he was headed when the questions were asked, whether it was on a radio show or whether it was in a news conference. Cam Robinson yesterday, who's the last player in that locker room who was here when Tom was here, 17, 18, and 19, said it never bothered him. It was easier for him because he knew what to expect. And that's what I think is missing. I think in a world where, again, you've got players who are young and on social media, you don't have to guess. You know exactly what is set out for them. A guy who doesn't come across, and you know him much better than I do, as a Tom Coughlin, Bill Belichick style, yet seems to be the perfect coach to what you're talking about is Tony Dungy. I mean, Tony, everyone knew what to expect. He didn't yell and scream. He was old school in the sense that he came up from Chuck Noll.
It's still consistency. Players still want to know where they stand. I think they just want it with a little, maybe syrup on top.
Yeah.
So
Sugar-coated a little.
But it's still consistency, and Dan Campbell makes it work a little bit. I think you have to let them know you love them, and that's probably the key these days. You can't just be all hard school all the time.
All right, our final big thing is vintage. We are finally getting these Prowler throwback uniforms. They're going to be donned for the first time this year on Sunday against the Colts. Trevor Lawrence excited about that, but more excited about getting the win.
The throwbacks, obviously the uniforms are sweet, and just tribute for the history of this team, and it's been 30 years or so. So it's cool to be able to wear those uniforms and put them back on and represent this city the right way on Sunday, and but we got to worry about just find a way to win the game. That'll be the best way to represent the city, is go win the game.
Brian, these are the uniforms everybody wanted. We're all excited about that, but it's a monumental day for the franchise as well, so important to go out and have a good performance.
Yeah, I mean, let's make what is a day to celebrate, right? Tom Coughlin going into the pride of the Jaguars, the Legends weekend, so there'll be a lot of former players here. Let's see something that makes it more than just memorable, right? Get a win, something meaningful that goes along with this. And I wasn't all on the vintage, the throwback train. Maybe it's my age, maybe it's that I grew up with these uniforms, and it's something that's still important to me. But this week, as we've gotten closer, and yesterday I saw the logo on helmets, the old logo on helmets in the locker room, and got a touch of nostalgia. I'll never forget the first time I saw the uniforms on the field for the very first time in Canton, Ohio, against Carolina back in the summer of 1995, but I felt that because all the months and all the anticipation. So I'm excited to see them on Sunday.
Yeah, they're sharp uniforms, and get a win in them. I wouldn't mind if these were always the uniforms. I'm not a uniform guy, but I look at them and people love them. So I'm looking forward to seeing them on the field.
We got John on board. We're going to switch him back to the Prowler uniforms permanently. I think that's a good idea. Stay with us here on Jags A.M. We're going to talk more about Tom Coughlin and his influence on the franchise.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
Sudeth is on the 20, the 10. Yes, another successful move to a new home. I tell you, folks, I've never seen a team more prepared than the Sudeth crew. With a dominating lead in training, trust, and efficiency, it's no wonder why Sudeth is the official moving company of the Jacksonville Jaguars. For the past 100 years, Sudeth has provided local, long-distance, and international moving services in Jax. While the Jags are moving the chains on game day, Sudeth is helping you on moving day. Visit sudeth.com/Jags for a guaranteed quote.
Chelsea here. Another month and another high utility bill. Those old windows and doors might be the culprit, letting valuable energy escape. At Renewal by Andersen, our energy-efficient windows and doors have the latest advanced technology, keeping your home comfortable all year round. Renewal by Andersen has a limited-time offer. Buy 4 windows and/or patio doors and get the 5th one free. Plus, enjoy 0 money down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 12 months. Some restrictions apply. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com for all the details. License number CGC 1527613.
Calling all loyal Jags fans and loyal Gate customers, football is back. And you and 3 friends could win a chance to meet Trevor Lawrence. Entering is easy. Just buy any 5 28-ounce Gatorade or Gatorade Zero products at Gate with your MyGate Rewards app and you'll be automatically entered. Not a MyGate Rewards member? Download the app and sign up today. See store for details. Alternate entry available at GatoradePromos.com/TLAW.
Navigating the current housing market and figuring out your best move when it comes to a mortgage isn't your full-time job, but it's one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. That's where the experts at Jet Home Loans get into the game and coach you to your ultimate goal of getting not just the right loan, but the perfect loan for you, the home of your dreams. Jet Home Loans works with you all the way, from application to closing, making sure your game plan is perfect. Make the call to Jet Home Loans and let their team join your team to make your dreams take flight. Visit jethl.com.
Facing cancer takes a lot of determination, strength, and support. And you'll get it all at Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center. Determination from world-renowned doctors, giving you specialized treatment with cutting-edge technology and research. Strength and support from a dedicated team, caring for you completely, during and after treatment. Don't face cancer with anything less than the team at Baptist MD Anderson. Appointments available at baptistmdanderson.com.
Jags A.M. is brought to you in part by Fields Auto Group, Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. You can head to fieldsauto.com.
There's the snap, it's low, the placement, the kick is blocked! It's blocked! The Jaguars have won it! The Jaguars have picked the ball up, racing down the sideline. There he goes, they're gonna score! Touchdown, Jacksonville! Chris Hudson picks up the block and races downfield, and the Jaguars have beaten the Steelers!
Lots of memorable moments with Tom Coughlin as the head coach here and as GM as well. But let's talk a little Tom, because why not? He's going to have his day on Sunday.
That was the first Monday night game in franchise history. And Mark Brunell returned that night. I never forget, he had injured his knee in the in the preseason. Jesse Armstead for the Giants put his helmet into his knee, and no one knew he was going to return. No one. And when the crowd introduced him, the roar, still can hear it in my ears. It's as loud as that stadium has ever been. And of course, the Jaguars went on to win when Clyde Simmons blocked Norm Johnson's game-winning field goal attempt, and Chris Hudson took it back, despite Bill Cowher trying to stop him.
And it was fresh in when it was still all new. They had gotten good the previous year, Brian. But remember, they got good so late the previous year, and they started off, I think they were 2-0 coming into this game. So you were still sort of getting used to the idea that this was a long-term good team. And to be the Steelers on Monday night, there was a spine to that team, meaning big games, it played well. Looking back, I don't know that I completely grasped what a great job Tom did and the team did in establishing something very consistent and how hard that was. to do and to build it from scratch, which Tom did.
Al Michaels told Tom on the field in pregame that night, "We'll be back," right? He could sense before the game started that this was a place that loved football. And of course, they were back the very next year with the Monday night game early in the season, early October, against the Dolphins with a rookie, Fred Taylor, who went 77 yards on the game's first play. So there was something about those early years in Jacksonville that people around the league believed in, not just those of us who were here.
I think what's impressive for me to come in and learn about the franchise as I've been here is, being a franchise, a new franchise, and being able to kind of garner that success fairly quickly considering you're brand new is impressive to me that Tom, obviously the architect of all of this, can put that together and see success so quickly.
He was told by Wayne Weaver when Wayne hired him, I want to go to the Super Bowl in my first 5 years. Tom got them to the AFC title game in year 2 and back again in year 5. They didn't beat the Patriots or the Titans those 2 years, but Tom took nothing because there was nothing here when he stepped out of his car in February of 1994. It was a muddy bog, and he put them in a position where in year 2 they were on the verge of the Super Bowl. It was amazing.
Yeah, and again, being around it at the time, I covered it for the Florida Times-Union. Naive little sports writer thought they always talked about the 5-year plan. 96, 97, 98, 98. You feel like they were getting closer and closer and closer. And it's one of those stories, guys, that it played out exactly as they thought, closer and closer and closer and closer. And then it just didn't. It's such a. It almost shows you, no matter how well you plan, no matter how good you are. That was a good team that year in '99. Shows you how hard it is in the NFL. But beyond that, usually, like most coaches back then, when they took over teams, I'd say 9 out of 10 coaches talked about a 5-year plan.
Sure.
Not that many pulled it off to the degree that this franchise did, building it. Think about the Carolina Panthers, for example. They kind of came up and then they were sort of gone. This team did the same thing eventually, but what a run and what a Brian, when I think of Tom during that time, the story that I tell is when I came back in 2011, Tom had been gone for 8 years at that point.
Yeah.
I still, the first couple of months back, would peek around the corner, wonder if he was coming.
His presence has always been in this building. He had that big of an impact.
Yeah, that's how much. There have been people who say, well, why is he in the Pride? Didn't win a Super Bowl, didn't do X, didn't do what. Well, but I think what people don't grasp, and players who you talk to who played for him, they don't grasp the presence and the, he was the foundation of the house, right? And what a will it was of his to make the organization what it was. And mistakes, yes.
Oh yeah.
But big picture,
he knows him too.
You can't have a Pride of the Jaguars to me and not have Tom Coughlin in it.
Absolutely 100%. Tom Coughlin was the heartbeat of this franchise. Kai, when I got here in the summer of 1994, there was nothing here but some trailers. Tom came in and didn't just hire coaches and pick players. I mean, he built a franchise from the ground up. And that was not an easy thing to do. He had such a belief in what his standard was. And everybody who worked for the organization, whether it was someone in the football side or in ticketing or in broadcasting, you had to be able to keep up with that standard. Otherwise, you weren't going to be able to work with Tom Coughlin. And people recognized that. He pushed forward. He understood it was going to make him less popular than other people in the building. He didn't care because his mission was to win. And now the players, those ones that just, they couldn't take playing for him at times, now line up to spend time with him at the J Fund every year. Michael Strahan, who famously couldn't deal with Tom in New York early on, told him, I love you. These guys understand he is a unique man, a distinctive coach, and the kind of person who cares about other people, but he cares so deeply that sometimes you don't see it until later.
I think his style, obviously not for everybody, but having clear expectations for people and being consistent and being yourself is something that I think we lose little sight of in maybe modern day, because I think people are trying to play to different personalities. But if Tom seems like the kind of guy that always had a clear set of expectations, they might have been hard to reach, but you knew what they were going to be, and you knew what the standards were going to be.
Ask Jeff Lageman, right? I mean, Jeff was the player representative. Remember that? He came down knowing what the rules were, and Tom was always pushing the rules. But the two of them have a great relationship today because they understood what the big picture was to take this new franchise and lift it up. And we have it here today because they created something. And there's a lot of people, and Tom will say this when he talks on Sunday, because he and I've spent some time together in the last couple of weeks. He will talk about all the people who came into it. But there could only be one guy out in front of it. And that was a huge job. And all the pressure, everything that was good and everything that wasn't so good. And he was just the man to wear that mantle.
And the thing that I loved, we had a little, this past Friday, a media gathering for Tom, or with Tom. And he and Tony Baselli and Fred Taylor spoke for about a half an hour. And 16, 17 minutes in, he was talking about it Giants and the Jaguars. And he's been gone from the Jags for 5 years, gone from the Giants for 7. And he made the comment, he said, it still feels like they both ended too soon. Like, still doesn't believe that if he had been left to his devices, they both couldn't have turned around. It spoke of the single-mindedness, the faith and belief, the determination, all that stuff. Tony Baselli and I were talking about it on Sunday because I saw him a couple days later. And we both just said, that's what Tom is. That's what made him great. And Tony goes, that's what I love about the guy.
Do you know, I went to his house to sit and do an interview with him for a story that I think you're going to run. And the irony was, Tom had to go to Tony's house, which was right across the street in Marsh Landing back in the day, and tell the first player he picked, a player that he was intimately connected to for his whole career, well, we're going to put you in the expansion pool because the salary cap won't work if we don't. And the Texans took Tony. That was one of those things that he still has some pain about. But then the irony was that Tony went to his house and knocked on the door and said, you're in the pride of the Jaguars. There's just something full circle about that I loved. And Tom has a strong belief in this franchise. And I said, listen, your high school field's named after you. You're already in the Giants Ring of Honor. You've got a couple of Super Bowl rings. Someday you'll go in the Hall of Fame. Where does this fit? And he just got this big, broad smile. He said, it's right at the top. And I said, why? He said, because that was my team.
Well, in most expansion franchises, Carolina back then had a GM and a coach. Moving forward, when they're expansion franchise, it's very unlikely that you will have a presence like that in essentially both roles, running it, a czar, if you will.
Right.
And in most expansion franchises, Tom Landry in Dallas comes to mind as somebody who was identified with that. Tom wound up not having the success of Tom Landry here, but it's more similar to that, where you were the soul of the organization for a long time. That's rare, and it takes a special personality to do it.
Interestingly enough, Tom Landry was one of the people that Tom Coughlin went and spent time with when he knew he was coming here to build the franchise.
When you talk about him going into the pride of the Jaguars at this point in time, and you look at the other names in the pride of the Jaguars, short of the Weavers, he's responsible for most of those people being in Jacksonville, whether it's Tony or Fred or he drafted, or you look at Brunell and Jimmy Smith as well, and just he has his hand in a little bit of all of that.
He has his hand directly in all of it, and traded for Mark, signed Jimmy off the street, chose Tony when not everybody in town was many people in town were like, draft a quarterback.
Flashy.
And Tom was like, that's my cornerstone.
Yeah.
And then Fred, famously, Tom was at the pro day at Fred, at Florida when Fred ran a 4.2 and the scouts went, and Tom went, that's the guy.
But Tom did draft a quarterback. Yeah. He drafted Rob Johnson in the 4th round, who became Fred Taylor because they traded him to the Bills for the first pick, the 9th pick of the 1st round that year. Just a quick Brunell story. The Jaguars had a really good quarterback room, right? I mean, Steve Berline came in as an established veteran, And the first time I met Tom, I was in his office and we were talking about his radio show that we were going to start in the fall of 1994. And I walk in, and of course, they had beta tapes back then, right? And there are 5 or 6 beta tapes that are stacked up on his desk, and they were facing a direction I could see. And Tom caught me trying to read the names on the label, quickly turned it around, right? Yeah. But the number one name was Mark Brunell. And so he had done an enormous amount of work on the quarterback who was a backup to Brett Favre in Green Bay, and let the process play out and made the trade for Mark the night before the draft. So they introduce him, and then they don't know what to do with him the night before the draft, right? They're so busy in the draft. Tom hands me a credit card and says, take him to dinner. And so here's the franchise quarterback going to dinner with a radio guy, and he's just asking all sorts of questions about Tom. And I said, buckle up. And of course, they had an incredible run together.
John, when we talk about Jimmy Smith coming to town and kind of what he became when he got here, that was someone Tom went and got as well.
Yeah, well, Jimmy's story, he had been a high-level draft pick in Dallas, a lot of talent, was sick, dealt with some health issues all along, but he was sort of an example, Brian, of the kind of guy that Tom, I guess, no matter who you were, where you had come from, meaning draft status, how you got to the team, really didn't matter. And I think Jimmy was probably another one of those guys who, when he played for Tom, being young, may not have really understood how much Tom loved Jimmy. But now when you talk to Tom about Jimmy, he'll basically say, if we had single, we were going to Jimmy. And appreciates the special level of talent that Jimmy was. And I think, like most of the guys we're talking about, Tom probably never showed these guys how much he loved them when they played for him.
Right.
But the respect he had for Fred's talent, the awe that he had for Keenan McCardell's toughness, all those things, that's why the relationships are strong now.
Yeah, a great example of the man that Tom Coughlin was as a coach. Jimmy Smith kind of came along slowly in 1995, but we were in Denver in December of 1995, and this may be that game. That's the 97. That's 96 playoffs, which was one of his biggest catches. Jimmy had 3 touchdowns that day, 3 different ways. One on a throwback kickoff return with Desmond Howard, one on a blocked punt, and one as a wide receiver. And still, Tom made him earn it the next year. He went and signed Andre Rison. And Andre brought something out in Jimmy. But Tom knew Jimmy wasn't ready. He wasn't quite there, but the minute that he was, he went into the starting lineup. And of course, when you watch this highlight, the Jaguars, he's the best receiver in franchise history, obviously. They haven't had anyone who even holds a candle to him since. He was a prolific talent, and Tom could see it coming, but didn't put it on the stage before it was ready.
I think what'll make Sunday even more special, a lot of these guys are going to be here for that ceremony as well, to share that with Tom. And we'll talk a little bit more later in the show about what that ceremony exactly is going to be. But stay with us here on Jags A.M. We'll get back talking football, what we expect to see against the Colts on Sunday.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
Calling all junior fire chiefs. Parents, register for your child to win the ultimate Jaguars game day experience. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs, cheering on the Jags from the Firehouse Subs fire truck at Everbank Stadium, flashing the fire truck lights when the Jags score. As honorary junior fire chief of the game, your child will receive a Firehouse Subs gift, and the whole family will receive 4 tickets and a parking pass to a home game this season. Visit Jaguars.com/sweepstakes to enter to win today. See website for terms and conditions.
We need to define a great deal in today's new home market, because the so-called great deals that you find on every corner just aren't the same as the incredible opportunities you'll find with a new Dreamfinders home. How about 2.99% in year 1 in one of Dreamfinder's 15 communities across North Florida? Now that's a great deal. 2.99% interest rate in year one and a beautiful new Dreamfinders home. Visit dfhsalesevent.com for our largest savings of the year on move-in ready homes. That's dfhsalesevent.com.
Calling all loyal Jags fans and loyal Gate customers, football is back. And you and 3 friends could win a chance to meet Trevor Lawrence. Entering is easy. Just buy any 5 28-ounce Gatorade or Gatorade Zero products at Gate with your MyGate Rewards app and you'll be automatically entered. Not a MyGate Rewards member? Download the app and sign up today. See store for details. Alternate entry available at GatoradePromos.com/TLaw.
Sudeth is on the 20, the 10. Yes, another successful move to a new home. I tell you, folks, I've never seen a team more prepared than the Sudeth crew. With a dominating lead in training, trust, and efficiency, it's no wonder why Sudeth is the official moving company of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
For the past 100 years, Sudeth has provided local, long-distance, and international moving services in Jags. While the Jags are moving the chains on game day, Sudeth is helping you on moving day. Visit sudeth.com/Jags for a guaranteed quote.
If you're facing cancer, you want a dedicated team working for you. At Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center, we only focus on cancer. And we partner with one of the largest cancer centers in the world. So you'll have a specialized treatment plan created by our experienced and highly trained oncologists and surgeons, collaborating with one of the country's leading cancer centers. Best of all, we're in North Florida with locations in downtown, Baptist South, and Clay. Appointments at baptistmdanderson.com.
Jags A.M. brought to you by Sudeth, Florida's trusted and reliable moving company. Sudeth is proud to be the official moving company of the Jacksonville Jaguars. To get a guaranteed quote, you can visit sudeth.com/Jags. Sudeth is our sponsor for tomorrow's headlines today, as we do our best at predicting what we think the headlines are going to be actually on Monday morning after this game against the Colts. Brian, when you look ahead, what are you hoping to see? What do you think the headlines will be?
I think the headline will be Seems Like Old Times, which is a double play on, obviously, it's Legends Weekend. But I think the Jaguars find a way to get a win on Sunday. I was walking through the locker room yesterday looking hard for signs of division or resilience. I wanted to use that word so much. I wanted to see a resilient group of guys, and I did. I talked to them. I know you did too, John. I have the sense that this is the week that they find a way to win a close game at the end. It helps them that there are some key pieces of that Indianapolis defense and maybe Jonathan Taylor that won't play, but I think that they get a throwback win on a throwback weekend.
Yeah, look, you're at home and you ought to win. So my headline is just what they needed, meaning you're playing a team that you ought to have confidence against because you've beaten them here a lot, beat them twice last year. They're at home with the throwback, so maybe all of that is just what they needed to get a win, and boy, do they need it. I don't think they're as far away or as awful as many observers are saying. I don't believe there's division, but I do believe there's an element right now of, hey, at some point we got to do this. Let's do it. And I do think the adrenaline, the home crowd, I think that'll be enough on Sunday.
I saw some percentage odds of teams who with losing records to make the playoffs, and the Jaguars were at 13.7%. And I went, so you're saying there's a chance?
That's a higher percentage than I thought you were going to say.
So the optimist in me, the sunny-eyed optimist in me says, okay, right, go get this one, go to London where you've had success, and see if you can't build something. And it perfect place to start. The legends are back. The coach is going into the Ring of Honor. You're wearing the throwback uniforms that get everybody charged up. Take advantage of this right here and right now. It isn't often in life that you get as many second chances as this team may get. Go take advantage of it.
All right, I think we're all going to be optimistic this week. I think there's a lot of reasons to be. I'm going with picture perfect. I think this is finally when the defense gets some turnovers in this game. It's either going to be Joe Flacco or it's going to be Anthony Richardson, who may be limited because of his hip injury. Either way, I think you're going to see a lot of passing. Jonathan Taylor probably not going to go because of a high ankle sprain. Perfect opportunity. Let's get a couple turnovers, pick off one of those quarterbacks, whoever it might be, give the offense a little bit more of an opportunity to get things going. and there's a lot of injuries on the Colts defense as well. So everything's stacking up. I know this is on paper. I know that we have not seen what we expected to see from the team this year, but we did see a lot more from them of what we expected against the Texans. I feel that it's turned the corner a little bit, and I'm hoping we see finally the first win of the season. So stay with us on Jags A.M. coming up. We will have a little bit more about what's going to happen for Tom Coughlin's ceremony after the break.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
Navigating the current housing market and figuring out your best move when it comes to a mortgage isn't your full-time job, but it's one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. That's where the experts at Jet Home Loans get into the game and coach you to your ultimate goal of getting not just the right loan, but the perfect loan for you, the home of your dreams. Jet Home Loans works with you all the way, from application to closing, making sure your game plan is perfect. Make the call to Jet Home Loans and let their team join your team to make your dreams take flight. Visit jethl.com.
For us, treating cancer is personal. We're Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center, and we know that every patient is unique. So you'll have a plan created by world-renowned doctors and tailored to your needs. And everyone here will support you every step of the way, so you're physically, emotionally, and spiritually strong for the journey. Don't face cancer with anything less than the team at Baptist MD Anderson. Locations in downtown, Baptist South, and Clay. Visit BaptistMDAnderson.com.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A. member FDIC.
Hey Jags fans, stop dreaming of creating your game day fan cave and build the Jaguars den of your dreams with ZipChair. When it comes to maximum comfort, ZipChair.com is the only place for officially licensed Jaguars recliners, sofas, bar stools, office and gaming chairs, all featuring high quality embroidered Jags logos. Crack open a few cold ones in the comfort of a ZipChair and make your home the place to be on game day. Head over to ZipChair.com and save 20% today. Use code JagsRadio at checkout. ZipChair.com, furniture for fans.
Chelsea here. Another month and another high utility bill. Those old windows and doors might be the culprit, letting valuable energy escape. At Renewal by Anderson, our energy-efficient windows and doors have the latest advanced technology, keeping your home comfortable all year round. Renewal by Anderson has a limited-time offer. Buy 4 windows and or patio doors and get the 5th one free. Plus, enjoy 0 money down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 12 months. Some restrictions apply. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com for all the details. License number CGC 1527613.
Jags fans, if you want customized Jaguars furniture for your home, check out ZipChair.com to browse all the customizable options. ZipChair is furniture for fans. This weekend's game brought to you by Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good.
You keep believing, you keep fighting your butts off, you find a way to win. And we are in the AFC Championship. 1, 2, 3.
A lot of good Tom Coughlin memories we've been talking through their playoff win in Denver, sending them to the AFC Championship game in 1996. What are we going to experience for Tom Coughlin's ceremony on Sunday, Brian?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank the Jaguars for the opportunity to present him. There are a lot of people that probably wanted the opportunity to do that, and I am grateful for it. I'm going to introduce him. First of all, we're going to put a teal jacket on him. That's a new tradition that the Pride of the Jaguars are introducing. So Tony Baselli and Fred Taylor and Jimmy Smith will join us on stage as we introduce Tom. There'll be an amazing video, and then Tom will get to speak. And I kind of have a preview of some of the things he wants to talk about. It's going to be awesome. I mean, it's just, he's such an important piece of so many people. My life, obviously, as you can tell, listening to me, but this franchise And I am just so grateful for the opportunity to be here 30 years later with the man who was the most tireless, the strongest benefactor, who still is for this team in this town. For him to go in it's going to be an emotional moment.
Beautiful. If you're not in-house for it, we're going to carry it live on radio. It'll be on Jaguars.com as well, so you can check it out there. And hopefully everything capped off with a win as well. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the throwbacks. We'll see you back here on Jags A.M. on Monday morning.